RISD. Hello, America, and hello, universe. How we doing? All right, I'd like to hear you. Thank you for being heard. I am the one and only Lady J. I am the daughter of Cheryl Brown, daughter of Barbara Jean Butcher, daughter of Cecilia Grooms. Your host, your MC, your moderator for tonight's Premiere Talkback with the Haus of Glitter Dance Company. How many of you have heard or have seen or heard from the Haus of Glitter? Let me hear a round of applause. If you have. All right, that's right. Haus, y'all hear that? That's for you. That's for you. All right, how many of you want the Haus of Glitter to perform their Magical Mermaid activist dance opera one more time? Yes. Well, just in case you missed it, we have never seen before footage, highlight reel, that we are just releasing today for the first time. And I'd like to open with some gratitude first before we do so. Thank you to RISD's SEI group for sponsoring this event and to our co-sponsors. We know that we could not have done this alone. The Department of Theory and History of Art and Design. Thank you, Liz, for coming in hot and bringing in the house. The Department of Apparel and my department, where I'm the assistant professor in the Department of Industrial Design. Thank you to our organizing team, Mia Nilo, who has worked tirelessly and then has come in contact with COVID, so couldn't be here, but all of their hard work does not go unnoticed. And Justine Bubar from SEI for stepping in. Thank you so much. Liz Maynard from THAD. Go ahead and raise your hand, Liz, because you brought them in. The RISD Museum and Shauna Vanderwill Ortman for helping coordinate the event. RISD Public Safety for always keeping us safe. RISD Catering, and we know y'all are stretched bare, including Hillary Ginsburg, who helped organize our reception, and to everyone who worked the tables outside. To Mark Moscone from Campus Exhibitions for helping stock the bar and making sure our dual receptions work together. Collaboration is key, folks. The AV team, Andrew Grant, don't mess it up, Andrew, and Dylan Costa. Brian Clark, the Senior Director of Digital Experience, who will be posting this video of today's event on RISD's YouTube page. So make sure you make some noise and get noticed, because the world's gonna see y'all, right? All right, Miss April. And the folks at Color Lab for printing our beautiful posters. The campus truly came together for this event, so thank you. And last but not least, thank you to the Haus of Glitter Dance Company, who is here with us today as creators of the historic fantasy of Esek Hopkins. And thank you to the Haus of Glitter Performance Lab, who represents over 60 plus artists, contributors, that's the word, who have helped make this project happen. Thank you for making this art, y'all. Let's give them a round of applause before they come out. In case anyone in the audience did not get a chance to see the site-specific workshop performance of the historical fantasy of Esek Hopkins, an activist dance opera, this past September, we have a brief, never before seen highlight reel that I mentioned before of this historic 6-night performance. 6 nights of performances, friend. If you're in the audience and you did it, can you raise your hand? Hey. Okay, right there. We have this was a performance of Mermaid, Magic, and Revolution. This project has not only been a ritual of historic intervention, but also a full dance concert, an original album, an installation, and a fashion show. So get ready to live your life. Let's dim those lights and roll it. Just buffering, no big deal. You can use my phone as a hotspot if you need to. I know, right? He knows what we're trying to do. Talkback rolling. So let's hear it for the Haus of Glitter's co-founders. DJ, please pump that track. Where y'all at, fam?
Feminine.
Also note that this is an original track from the Haus themselves. First up, we have the director of digital media, the Haus record label, and the Liberation Garden. We have Anthony A.M. Andrade. Serving us the future and the past, masculine and femme, gold, luxury, look at it, we see you. Next up, we have the director of the International Legacy Arts and Education Program, Assi Coulibaly. We see you, Queen, we see you. We have the artistic director and director of community partnerships, Matthew Garza. Serving us fabulousness. Hey Hano, Auntie, we see you in the field. Next, we have the director of practice and intergalactic adventure, Steven. Why don't I know his last name? I can do it. Thank you, Choummalaithong. I used to know it, y'all. I gotta work on my Laotian. We see you from the past and the future. All right, and we have the director of facilities and community safety. Where are you at? Trent Lee. Whoa! And that is Trent. That is the way he comes out. We got breakdancing and parkour and rollerblades. One more time, because y'all weren't loud enough. Let's give a round of applause. All right, fam. We want to take a moment to take a pause to breathe. And I want to say what breath means to me. Being with the Haus, knowing them and collaborating them has completely changed my pedagogy and the way I practice in my classroom. No matter where my students are coming from or how their day is started, it is important for us to start on the right footing and in that collective space to pause and be still and to understand each other and be in community. So I want to thank you all for what breathing has taught me from your practice. So we want to give that to you all as well. Let's start off with some collective breaths. Haus, are you down to offer some breaths?
Yeah. I'll invite us to place our hands over our heart to feel our hearts beating, and you can close your eyes or find a soft gaze. First, a breath for all of our individual ancestors that we bring into this space and into this moment, breathing in and out.
A breath of gratitude for whatever comes to mind, breathing in and release.
A breath for Indigenous people of the past, present, and future, and for the constant daily grief of colonization. Breathing in and out.
A breath for our family, our friends, our loved ones, those who support us in being who we are, especially ourselves. Breathing in and out.
A breath for the energy that we all bring individually here into this space. Breathing in and out.
I would like to offer a breath for everyone who has shown up today and to be present, even though we are all living busy lives and are tired and exhausted. Thank you for being present and to show up. Breathing in, breathing out. One last breath. Please offer me grace if I mispronounce your last name and mess up. Breathing in. Breathing out. And gently come back to the space. Hello and welcome back. Wasn't that nice? Feels good. Sometimes you just gotta take that moment. All right, thank you, House, for that. All right, so y'all ready to get started? All right, it's conversation. Our first question. So, I don't know about y'all, but I'm ready to get to the tea of everything that you all have been doing. This is a question for everyone in the house. So let's rewind a bit to December 2019 when the Haus of Glitter moved into the former house of Esek Hopkins. And if you all don't know where that is, it's located across the highway from Home Depot near that Dunkin' Donuts. So Esek Hopkins was the commander of the slavery ship Sally. How did this whole endeavor even start? How did you learn about Esek Hopkins? And what were those first few months like for all of you all?
Yeah, so we actually didn't know where we would be placed in applying for the residency. So we learned about the history of Esek Hopkins really once we got there and started like digging into the history. It's like one of the top 10 most endangered spaces on that list of National Historic Sites. So it wasn't like super livable when we got there. We swear we dug up the dead skin cells of Esek Hopkins himself as we cleaned up. It was a lot of work to clean and to move in. We actually like just unpacked our last box like last week. It's been 2.5 years, y'all. But that's because it's been a lot of work. We've done a lot of work. Yeah, I mean, for me, like, at first especially, it was tough to just, like, be in the space. I mean, we're surrounded by symbols of colonization everywhere, even in this room, just in this building. But in the home of a colonizer like that himself, to, like, rest my Black body there, to, like, get dressed, and where, like, in our little walk-in closet, there's crawl spaces, which were clearly built for enslaved people to be, you know, having these reminders for myself and to come to a reality of like, this is where I'm at today, and centering my existence in this space as empowered and a way to like transform and to shift history in that way. It feels really empowering, and at the same time it was heartbreaking at first just to be in this space. Yeah.
Can I roll back really quickly, Am, about how did you get to the house as artist?
Yeah, so the City of Providence Department of Art, Culture, and Tourism hosted these two spaces for residencies, one at the Wanskuk House and one at the Esek Hopkins House. So we applied like 3 years ago, and then were placed there in December when we moved in.
There we go. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it kind of all happened really quickly around the same time that the stay-at-home order for COVID happened. So at the beginning, you know, I think we were all just kind of trying to find our footing in what did it mean for us to be in this house and also to live in the, you know, with COVID happening. So there were actually like a good 3 weeks to a month that we actually didn't see each other because we were at home in our homes. And so initially, like in the house, we had really just started with ourselves and taking care of ourselves first. And that really looked like jumping into our yoga practices. So we did a lot of virtual, free to the community yoga practices, meditation practices. And we did that for, I think, at least like the first six months, almost every single day. And so we had to start there. We had to start with ourselves because, like most people, we just kind of realized that like we maybe had been neglecting ourselves for a really long time. And just being able to be at home in a kind of secluded space, an inward space, thankfully forced us to really like look inward at like what do we need to do to take care of ourselves. So a lot of yoga practice, a lot of cooking meals. We always talk about how if we're fed, then we're being taken care of. And that also applied to community work. We really tried to surround ourselves in community to do as much as we could for the community. So that looked like a lot of Facebook posts asking folks to come donate food so that we could deliver it to students that we had whose families needed food or access to food. We were trying to collect bedding so that, you know, folks had proper bedding. And so a lot of the initial things that we did in that house were really like obviously kind of started, and the catalyst was COVID, but really forced us to kind of look inward at like how can we care for ourselves, how can we care for our community.
Thank you.
And I would say that building off of this like practice of care, also like we needed boundaries. Like we were in this house 24/7, and so we had to have like boundaries with the history. We had to have boundaries with Esek's presence. We had to like perform rituals before we moved in, get blessings from many different faiths. And, you know, I'm thinking back to a time in the ocean that we spent together, JB. This was even before we moved into the house, which it's kind of interesting, like the show kind of started before we even moved in. And this opportunity to like investigate Esek's complicity in the slavery trade at the hands of the Brown brothers of Brown University just up the hill was like an opportunity to bring all of the parts of our practice together. You know, maybe like a year before that, we were in the ocean thinking about like how to disrupt the RISD Museum. And so that's really how I feel like one of our strongest collaborations started with you, JB, and really where our workshop concept of This Is My House came from, of what is it like for our existence to be performative and for our existence to be inherently disruptive, but for that labor to be an act of care for ourselves at the same time. So how do we bring ease into the practice? How as dancers can we be taking care of ourselves rather than like exploiting our bodies for an audience, and expressing our truths? And so when we started researching more about Esek Hopkins and the voyage of the slavery ship Sally, we came across the woman who hanged herself on the first voyage of the slavery ship Sally, which is very well documented, very well preserved. Just last week on Esek's birthday, we were able to visit the John Carter Brown Library and flip through the pages of Esek Hopkins' logbook from the slavery ship Sally, which is still chilling and we're still processing, but it was, you know, there's so much to feel around that. And for each of us, I think different feelings to engage with our various lineages that we hold in our bodies. But I like to describe the process of moving into the house as like that space where like the waterfall hits the water. Like it's intense, it looks joyful, it felt beautiful, but it was also like, it felt like we were getting smashed by the pressure and the negotiating that had to take place with the city in the first few months to hold ourselves steadfast in our boundaries and what we needed to be cared for, and to insist that like our intention was not to come live in this house and keep everything the same in the world. But somehow it felt like people expected that of us.
Right.
Can't you just like paint on canvases? And we were like, nah, that's not what we came here to do. But anyway, through it all, and in that kind of intensity of the waterfall, I would say like the woman who hanged herself on the first voyage of the slavery ship Sally just stuck with us. Like, it's kind of hard to describe. She was in our dreams. We just came back to her over and over again. And we did a workshop with you in 2020 as part of the Pronk Festival, which really helped us find like the story and the imagined story for this woman. And that performance in 2020 was, the real focus was being a community ritual. What is it like to invite, in particular, our elders of color, are the mentors who have held us in these 2 years. The only reason we survived living in the house at all was from the elders who really came to our rescue to offer advice and spiritual guidance and to just hold us. We felt so held in that. And so the workshop in 2020 was like, how do we continue to invite people in this practice of reckoning and transformation? And so we invited people to come. We built this altar. We told this story several times throughout the day. And that was really the seed for what eventually became the show. And that became just the first chapter of, I think, like almost 16 scenes that we later developed in 2021.
Maybe before we move on to you, Stephen, could we roll back just a smidge for, raise your hand if you know who Esek Hopkins was and what that house was. Okay, so roughly half. Can you talk just quickly, when you moved into that house, you all are talking about the slave ship Sally, but I want to put into context that you didn't know that at the time based on the plaque we just saw. So if you could lay that foundation real quick before we move on, if you could just speak to that.
Check. Yes. So Esek Hopkins, check. He was the commander of the slavery ship Sally, appointed in 1775, and he commanded the slave ship in 1776. And basically, he was like the general of the army, you could say, pretty much in charge of like the whole entire continental navy of the U.S. He was appointed by George Washington to be the continental navy commander. And yeah, the tea that we found is that he wasn't that great at all. He was very sour. He did a lot of atrocious things, starting with kidnapping enslaved people from Africa and taking them on this horrendous voyage that cost like a good majority of lives, from malnourishment, from people jumping overboard, people mutiny, all types of things, you know. So later in 1776, he was censored, which means that he was called out. This is the first instance of whistleblowing in the colonized United States. The first time it's ever happened. He was called out by his own men because of how atrocious his acts were as a leader, as the commander. He was just like he wasn't good at his job. So in 1776, he was censored, and later in 1777 he was terminated, you could say. And yeah, still yet, despite his horrendous acts and horrible effort as an employee, you could call it, he was able to get memorabilia. One of which being the house, another being the Esek Hopkins Middle School, which is on Charles Street, and also a statue on Branch Ave, and a park. Let's not forget that. So yeah, that's Esek Hopkins. Yeah, and this was tough. This process, it was very tough. It was very heavy. This work, engaging with this work and this activism is very tough and hard. And I'm just so grateful for like my house and the community that we wrapped ourselves around us, because like without that support, like honestly, this would have been way too much for any of us. And yeah, like we went through a lot of like it wasn't easy the whole time. Like we've had to like create processes or structures and tear them down almost consistently in order to like accommodate ourselves and our self-care and our care-centered practice, you know. We've been through a lot throughout this process. Myself, for example, I've lost my father to COVID in 2020. And yeah, that took like a big chunk of like time away from me to, one, you know, just go through that experience and try to heal from it while, you know, supporting my house and being with them. And like, there's been other moments where like time is just like not on our side, and like we've come up with like systems of like of things that we find interesting, but like why not? For example, at one point we were using the moon cycles to schedule our meetings, schedule our talks, schedule our team things and whatnot. We were literally going by the moon cycles and following the energy of the moon rather than like dealing with like deadlines and stuff. Like we let the moon decide things for us. And we, you know, the moon is something that is just comfortably there, and we were just like trying to be flowing comfortably with the moon as it went along. Each full moon, we'd have a different goal. Sometimes we didn't always reach accomplish each goal, but that's fine. We always like tried to like think about why we weren't able to do that, or like what we need to take away or make space for in order to accomplish something, or make something feel more comfortable to accomplish. I don't know if my mic is cutting on and off.
We can hear you.
Okay.
We
Okay.
hear you. We hear you.
I think it's because I probably hear feedback from myself, but
You
it's all
good.
good. Yeah, there was a lot of rearranging as far as like our work schedule, our timing, the house itself, the yard. Like the dining room was once the music room. The music room was once the parlor. The parlor was once a residency. So each room in the house like in all over the yard has like gone through different changes, different evolutions in order for us to like better oblige and accommodate ourselves in our space. You know, we're coming into a space that wasn't meant for us, and to know that, it's very cringe, because it's kind of like, oh, okay, I wasn't expected to be here, and like while that I'm here, like I want to feel more like this is my home, but we're holding on to things that don't really speak to that. You know what I mean? This is like all these things that you learn about Esek Hopkins and the house itself and stuff. Like us being there, we didn't know much. I lived in the neighborhood for pretty much my whole life, seeing that house there, and I didn't know anything until I got there with the house. And yeah, like knowing that like there's that type of energy and history there, like it doesn't feel like a welcoming thought at first thought. Like it's not welcoming at all. It feels like, oh, okay, I feel like I'm an intruder. You know. Yeah, I'm gonna stop there.
All right. Thank you.
Going hard. Because you had me start with Esek Hopkins.
I'm sorry. I gave it to the right one. I gave it to the right one. Trent?
Am I still going with the same question?
That's
or
Steven getting excited, y'all, just so you know.
am I going with the same question, or like the question from the beginning?
You can go with the question from the beginning.
Okay.
I just wanted that context laid.
Got you. Yeah, so I can definitely stand behind each and every one of my housemates' strong words about the house and all that we've done to do what we do and to be where we're at right now. Realistically though, like Steven said though, like when I did pass by Chad, I always seen that house too, but I didn't know what it was for. It was just an old house, and I was like, oh, that's an old house that I can probably get into or something like that. But I was always trying to get into something as a kid, so I was like, that's a possible house to, you know. But yeah, like, and just dealing with growing up around the neighborhood and such, and like still dealing with my own personal trauma and like family trauma that's passed on to me, and then like me like influencing that in the streets, and then so it wasn't really a great combo. So I started pushing my passion towards dance, which led me to meet everyone here, which led us to the house. And yeah, the energy in there was kind of whack. So it was just like, it wasn't it. So we had to do the transform it.
That's right.
So it's like, yeah, I'm aware that a lot of stuff isn't built for me in that way, but it's like, we were here before you, what you talking about? Like,
Right. Right.
so just like remembering who I am, like internally, and just doing the work that needs to be done. So that's where I'm at.
Thank you. Stephen and Trent, you both just touched on a really important point, that you grew up in that neighborhood, which is the Chad Brown neighborhood. And in that area, and I'm looking at this image right now from when we did the climate march with Pronk, but the fact that that area is almost just like a dead zone for the city, and it has the worst air quality. It is a food desert, it is a recreation desert, it's a health desert. And the fact that this monument to the slave trade was sitting there with people that have been systematically pushed into that place, and the fact that you all didn't know that, and now you're occupying that and trying to work through all that trauma plus this historical trauma by being in that house. So with that said, how did you all come together to create this opera? I know you touched on it, saying when we did the exercise, play space here at the Rizzi Museum, moving it through Providence, and then choosing to see, which has been an experiment. We've been prototyping with different spaces to say, this is my house, we occupy these spaces, these are our spaces, and how do we take that back and tell the proper history of that? So collectively, which I feel like it was helpful to have COVID, where you were able to sit and create. So can you speak to that? I mean, the installation, it was so many things. It's a multifaceted performance.
Yeah, there's a lot of parts to it, and we did it all ourselves with the community. Like, this community was at the center of this work, y'all. Like, when it came to the set pieces, we had an event called Femmes with Power Tools, where women in femmes taught all the other women in femmes how to use power tools, how to cut things, how to use, just...
It's a great way to get your things built, folks.
Very that. Down to the bejeweling, hand jeweling these masterpieces. We should take master out of our language. I don't like that. But our costumes. We had our designer living in our space with us for 3 months, designing our costumes with us. I mean, every single piece of it involved community in a really beautiful way. This work, it just in our intervention in general, I see folks wearing our Esek Hopkins sweatshirts. This really feels like it's our intervention, it's our transformation. It feels like more. It's so outside of the House of Glitter, and it may be about the house and about the space and transforming it, but it really is about the internal decolonization that needs to happen, the interpersonal decolonization, the institutional decolonization that needs to happen. And it starts in our hearts and extends into our families and then into the community. And so there are so many ways that led its way into this show happening. I really feel like this piece was a vibration that began well before us, and we just tapped into it. Something April Brown said to me. And I'll also say that COVID, it had its downsides, and at the same time, beautiful things with community came out of it, like the Liberation Garden. At that time, I was just starting the Creative Community Health Worker Fellowship with Arts, Culture, and Tourism, and I started to get a little passionate about environmental justice and plants and herbs. And the herbs taught us things. The soil taught us things. I mean, getting our hands into the dirt and working with earth in that way, I feel allowed us to connect a little bit deeper and find a little bit more of the story, and to be more connected to the space itself. Those are a couple ways that community brought its way into the piece coming about.
Thank you. Assi?
Yes. Hello. I mean, I think Garza tapped into it a little bit, just talking about kind of where our narrative we had the kind of pinpoint. But it really did start kind of as that workshop where we had really thought about how can we make movement, how can we continue to create space where we're disrupting, where we're taking back space, and kind of in that diving deep into that process, we had come across the manifest for the voyage of the slavery ship Sally. Yeah, I mean, like, no, but it was such a huge moment for us because, like, we are all very aware and very conscious of how horrific the transatlantic slave trade was, and is. It's not even like how it is and how it has continued to create a domino effect that is even lasting today. And so it was one of those moments where we were 5 individuals who had our own experiences, who were bringing our experiences to the table. And all of us in our lives have felt as though our histories have been mistold, how our ancestors have been forgotten. And so we kind of had this moment where we were looking at this manifest and this woman was identified as an individual.
Will you give the number?
196 enslaved individuals on board. And of those 196, 109 died in passing. And so it is one of those moments where we were really like looking at this manifest. We saw this woman identified as an individual because she had taken her own life. And that was also, this moment was huge for us because I myself, I love history, and I would not have considered myself to be a historian. And so this was one of those moments where I just can continue to keep learning about what was going on and how things were documented. Enslaved individuals did not have to be documented on manifests as people. They were cargo. Objects. Yep. They were cargo. And so if someone died of natural causes of malnourishment, they were not recorded as an individual who had passed. And so those numbers were not always written down in manifest. So to look at this manifest, to see that there was an individual woman who was recorded on this manifest felt like such an important pillar of justice for us to hold on to. And I think, again, like as the only cisgendered woman in this group, we also like are constantly thinking about like how can we take care of Black women? How can we amplify the voice of the Black woman? And like I'm so grateful. Like during this process for 6 out of the 8 months was like completely not able to dance, which is like a crazy thing for me. But like I had a huge, like I was going through sciatic problems. I was on and off of crutches the entire process. I was choreographing from a chair and then telling people, okay, go do this in the mirror so I can see what this looks like on somebody else's body, because I couldn't physicalize it. And one of the questions that the house kept asking from the jump was like, how do we take care of the Black woman? And so that just felt like the question that we've always asked, and then it was like how we were diving into this process is like, how can we tell this woman's story? How can we create a historical fantasy that brings justice to her legacy? And like, again, as being a part of the show, being able to see that like physicalized, being able to have people in the audience see that physicalized is so amazing. Like I can't even speak to it. Like the way that I feel about it is like I've never been more rooted and grounded in my own personal justice work than I have been being a part of this show, because now I see it everywhere. Now I walk down the street and I'm like, oh, that looks racist. Like I'm like, oh, that's racism right there. That's racism right there. But I never, it's like when someone is like, oh, you take the glasses off and now you can see everything. And so this process really was that, but it was a continuation of asking us that, asking that question of like, how can we continue to bring justice to this woman's legacy? Because her, although we're focusing on her, we know damn well she is not the only person.
You already know.
And so it's one of those things where it's like, we have this one, and it's in context to where we are in the situation. We're in this homestead, this former homestead of Esek Hopkins. So we're fortunate enough to know that there is this story that we can focus on, and there are so many more individuals at the bottom of the ocean who do not have that legacy to be remembered,
or someone
by,
to tell their story,
or someone to tell their story. And so that, I mean, is the most powerful, but also like that's where everything came from. It's like we were like, this is where we are creating the historical fantasy of Esek Hopkins because like this woman is bigger than Esek Hopkins.
Let me take a breath.
Can I offer us to just close our eyes for a moment?
So low.
Let's take a breath for the woman, our queen mother of the Haus of Glitter, who hanged herself on the first voyage of the slavery ship Sally, and for all of the souls, the black souls resting at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, the more we've talked about this work, like we noticed that even we've become a little desensitized to her trauma. And then when we saw Esek's logbook, like it just changed like what we were holding in our bodies. So we have to be in that space to pause and breathe every time we connect with her legacy. Yeah, and building off of what Assi said, we wanted to do justice to her. There was something powerful, especially as we were literally marching through the streets and sometimes watching. Like I remember the huge march in Providence during the racial awakening of 2020. When we marched as long as we could, we were back at the house. We watched that live stream in the house, and it was chilling for hours. We were silent, you know, massaging each other, taking care of each other, making tea. But it was so wild to be watching this negotiation happen in our community, in the country, in the world, and for numbers of black bodies to be just thrown around, hundreds, statistics, percentages. And so it kind of fueled us to like focus on one person, like so that we could have that balance of like, what is it like to empathize with one single black woman? Because we're throwing around the needs of black women all over the place. But those are human beings that we're talking about. And so there was a lot of motivation there for us to, as our priority, to do justice to her story and the gifts that she left for us, because it's not a legacy that has been lost. And there was also pressure because we knew we wanted these monuments to evolve, but that wasn't the conversation that we were having with the city or that they seemed super ready for. And so we kind of realized that the art kind of had to be like the catalyst for people to like come to their senses. And so we had to compartmentalize, but a lot was writing on that, on the show, on our ability to do the show in September in a site-specific way. Our lease ended in December. So we also like, our housing security was writing on the show. Like we were not trying to move out like last December. We just couldn't have managed it. We moved our entire lives into this space, cleaned up a mess that was not ours, not a mess that we made, and our whole lives changed. Some of us left our jobs and have just given everything that we have to this experience. Like we weren't ready to go, and also we weren't done. Right. We wanted to submit a proposal. We wanted to get the ball rolling on what does it look like, what processes can we put forward for these monuments and Esek Hopkins' name to change. And then I would say, so we understood those elements of kind of motivation, and from there I think the next thing that we found was like our process, and the structure of the show, where Act 1 would kind of investigate, would be an opportunity for each of us to investigate our lineages and the ways that our ancestors intersect with Esek Hopkins' legacy of colonialism and slavery. And so that was hard work for us because we hadn't all necessarily carved out that space to like do that self-healing work, and it was uncomfortable and emotional and its own journey, I would say. But there was something about creating a system that allowed each of us to learn more about each other and about ourselves as like the whole entirety of Act 1. And for Act 2, we kind of found this idea of, we kept coming back to mermaids, kept coming back to the sea. I think of like talking to Sam Zimmer in the garden where we were dreaming up like mermaid tails coming out of the soil and all kinds of things. And then we started to learn histories of mermaids, how mermaids have always been subversive tools and have always been figures that communities, oppressed communities all over the world, especially black communities, have turned to as tools of resistance, of secret communication, of organizing. And so everything just started to fall into place, and we realized, like, we're building a mermaid fempire. And so we created this fantasy world that we kind of like now live in. That's like the world that we want to live in. And like, and at this point, I think we're just like, we refuse to live in any world but the world that we want to live in. And so the train is moving, choo choo, get aboard, because we're moving along. And so the show became an expression of not just who we've been and everything that our bodies represent, but like, what is the world that we want to live in? How do we want to feel every day? How do we want our systems to work? And so the piece of Act 2 that we created kind of starts to explore, peel back the curtain on like, what was it like for this group of highly traumatized queer Black and brown people to be living under one roof and trying to figure out like, what are we gonna do about Esek? And what are the lessons that we learned along the way in these 2 years? And that's kind of what we represent in Act 2.
Oof. Thank you.
Test. Yeah, so we found our process, and we even reimagined our process every now and then. This process was hard. It was very challenging, but it was also very genuine, very care-centered. Yeah, I mean, like, it's not like any of us actually knew what we wanted to do. You know, like we were already a family before we got in the house, and we simply just did the work to get a little closer, even if that meant giving each other a little more space and offering a little bit more love, a little more support, you know, asking what support someone might need, speaking up, telling people that you, like, if you want to speak up, you should. And not to be afraid of that, not being afraid to, you know, think otherwise, you know, because that's the idea of like having to get things right or having to fall in line with what you think is the tea. But really the tea is that we're tired and we're just trying to like take it at our own pace, you know what I mean? Like really, like we took our time, and we took a lot of time, best believe. We took a lot of time, a lot more time than we expected. Even now, we're like stretching it out like even more, and like it's okay. It's like we're not mad at ourselves for that. We're actually very proud of ourselves. You know, I feel very grateful for like the spaciousness that we were able to give ourselves, and still, you know, give ourselves as far as like the work itself or like being in a community. It was all great, and it was so fun. It was really fun reaching out to people, you know, getting to know people in our community, getting to know elders, collaborating with other artists in the city, other people just in general, having people from the neighborhood like walk by and like, hey, what's going on here? And like, yo, come in. Like, do you know anything about this place? And the common answer is like, no, but I know it's here. And that's happened a lot. Pretty much throughout the entire process, of the entire 3 years we've been there so far, like people have just been walking by. I mean, like now, like I feel like people are a little closer. The community itself, I feel, is a little closer to like the story there and the lineage, and like, you know, realizing that what we're telling is not that specific story, but basically how that story brought us all here together in this one place, and now we're, you know, taking up the work to let people know, like, yo, this history, this lineage is being represented in your community, and like, you know, without you even knowing. And yeah, so we came together and like we brought like our stories together as individuals, our cultural stories, cultural backgrounds. We like started doing research for ourselves. We came together, we spoke about our stories, we talked it out, we chopped it up. A lot of back and forth, not as in like arguments, but like, I like this, I don't, it's okay, contentment, move forward. Yeah, and like we made music, we collaborated with other music artists, we collaborated with other storytellers, other producers. We pretty much, like, it wasn't just us, it definitely wasn't just the house. We definitely reached out as much as possible, and even now, like for this next show, we're doing it again. It's not us, it's all of us, for sure. And that's like our process, to just feel like it's all of our process and not just one person's specific process, and we're trying to, oblige to that. Yeah.
Thanks, Stephen. And don't sell yourself short. You don't have the neighborhood just walking by, but you've invited the neighborhood in. It has become a location that your neighborhood can come in with the meditation that you've offered, with the yoga practice, with the liberation garden, so that they can put their hands in the soil and they can learn about herbs, to have a space where they can heal and just escape and get away. So you've created a community center in this neighborhood. Trent?
Yeah. Hello. Okay, so yeah, like Stephen was saying, like now if you come by, now people walk by the house and you're like, hey, what's this house? They're like, oh yeah, it's the House of Glitter. So it's like, now like they know what it is.
There you go. There you go.
Exactly. And yeah, realistically, it's just like, this was work that was still new to us in some ways. So it's like taking on this challenge and challenge ourselves to see how far we can push each other to really achieve the goals that we're trying to reach. And it's bigger than us, so it's like we're definitely pushing through to get to that goal, or goals in general. And literally in like the shorter terms of what everyone was saying, like we all worked our asses off basically.
Yeah.
Worked our asses off to get in the position here to keep working forward.
There you go.
You can only move forward, never back. That's all.
Thank you all. So we're going to have to shorten some of the questions because we're short on time. So I'm going to ask 2 questions, and y'all got for real like 2 minutes so we can go to audience questions. So I'm going to ask you, Anne, because we have been honoring what we consider our house mother, which is the woman that hanged herself. We've had April Brown sitting here who has played the house mother. Yes, there you go. Get your news, queen. Who has taken time to be a part of the house. And in the opera, you had your biological mother performing with you. So what was that experience like with Miss Darlene Andrade, Lady D? What was that like to bring your mother into your arts practice?
Yeah, when we did the original workshop performance in 2020 with you and with April Brown, I had a dream like a couple nights before, and I was like, I had a dream of our Queen Mother of the House of Glitter before she was captured, and she was holding a basket gathering flowers for her mother's burial. And so, I don't know, I just told Garza, I told the house that, and I was like, I don't know what this means, but I feel like it's a part of the story. April comes, and we invite her to sing a song as part of the community piece, and she says, I want to sing Motherless Child. My mom comes, we invite her to sing as part of the community offering, and she says, I want to sing Amor de Mãe, which means love of a mother in Creole. And so there was all this alignment with mothers, and I mean, when she sang, I just saw, I don't cry like that, but something came through, and I was just bawling while like kind of on our stage. And so... and so that felt like that was when the alignment happens, it happens. It was like, okay, this is here, this is with us now, this is part of the piece. And so she was invited in as part of the piece. The song Amor de Mãe was written by my great-grandfather. He was a poet and songwriter in Cabo Verde before coming to the States. And many people, there are a couple well-known Cape Verdean musicians who covered the song, but my mother, she sang it before, she's performed it before, but we've never recorded it. So Joaquim do Livramento Jr. is his name, and I swear we channeled him every time we sang the song. And yeah, it was really meaningful, and we are in the process of recording the song now so that we can finally release it in the lineage of our family.
Yes.
And I'll also say that the performance has been a space for us to heal from what it's like just to be the queer son of a mother who is an artist and a healer and a bad bee, like who like raised these children with so much glitter and fabulosity and didn't realize it at the time, but is also faced with the cis hetero patriarchy that tells you that queerness is not accepted in a Christian home, right? So we've been healing through that as we've been performing the piece, and it's been a beautiful space for us.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, you got to hear the song, you all. So I'm going to throw this one to Stephen and Trent. So for those who've seen the performance, this performance that you all did had us crying, just silent crying for 15 minutes. And we weren't prepared for that. Like, it was real. And I said, I want every educator to see this. I want every superintendent. I want everyone to see the story that you all put out. So hearing your truths laid out for us so precisely and so vulnerably and taking yourself there was transformative to so many of us. And it was an honor to witness you both in that show. Can you tell us about that experience? And let's give them a round of applause, because what they went in with these stories. They went in with these stories. So thank you both.
Thank you, Jess. So me and Trent's piece speaks to ethnic displacement and the school to prison pipeline industry, and basically how society makes you, or you're assumed to be a certain way based on society, despite where you come from, when or where or how, etc. It was a lot, that was for sure. And honestly, like, if I'm being real and honest, like, I myself didn't do too great in school. That doesn't mean that, like, that I'm dumb or anything, but perhaps, like, I wasn't able to find my way, at least, like, flourishing through school, you know? Like, it was more like the credit in the back to myself, whatnot, you know what I mean? Didn't have visions of college or anything like that. So, like, when we created the story, like, at least myself, like, my part of the story, I had a lot of support with that, and I'm very grateful for that. And, like, for one thing, like, the house always tries to tell me that, like, I'm a great writer or speaker or whatever, but, like, I always tell myself otherwise, because, like, I find myself, like, I guess telling the truth in ways that, like, feel bearable and not, like, based on ego or stuff like that. Because, yeah, that's pretty much, like, how we were like, raised. Like, our stories talk about, like, ourselves being taken away from where we come from and where our ancestors and our parents come from, and basically ripping someone from where they are and putting them somewhere else, and, like, telling them, okay, this is your new narrative now.
Yeah.
Get to it.
And not supporting that.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, just, like, talking about that, I feel like it's not an easy conversation, because people don't look at it like that. I feel like people look at school as in, like, okay, I either pass or fail, but not thinking about like, legacy, I would say. Like my character in my piece is based on my mother and my father being someone who comes from, like, a village, a farm, etc. Like, someone who's a fisherman, someone who's a hunter-gatherer. Like, literally, my family, I'm the first generation American in my family, so, like, literally a generation before my parents, like, you know, like, it's still considered third world in Laos. Yeah. And thinking of it, like, when you take someone like that and then you put them in a whole new place and they start a family there, you know, it's not easy, because their legacy is torn. They're, like, ripped, they snipped it. Yeah. And now, like, their new legacy is here, and, like, based on however society feels, like, that's what you have to accommodate to. That's what you have to oblige to and stuff. And or at least that's the assumption, you know.
Thank you, Stephen.
Yeah. Hello. So, like, honestly, yeah. Check. The school thing, yeah. I only did good in school because I didn't want to get in trouble with my aunt. That's the only reason why I did good in school. Just like, if I came home with, like, shitty grades, I was getting it. So it was one of those things.
The idea of punishment, though.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to get punished.
Or not making someone proud and stuff, you know, like, that, the upsetting someone.
Yeah, that's what got me to get my grades up there. Otherwise, I would have been, like, doing my own thing, like, probably bringing C's home or something like that. But I was bringing the A's and B's home. And that was like, I didn't know what I was gonna do after that. I was like, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna figure something out and do something. And I started dancing, and I was like, I like this. This is cool.
Do you want to speak at all to the narrative that you had as being Narragansett?
Yeah. So like, and that comes to the part of like me wanting to like please my aunt and stuff like that, because it's just like, right, like, so like, yeah, like. Obviously, a lot of our ancestral stuff is still here on this land all over the place if you look for it, if you know what you're looking for. And if not, you're just a lost soul like everybody else. So like I got some like information about my heritage through my family and stuff that keeps it alive in secret, or uses like other words or code words that mean this or whatever. But like it's like really influenced to like be controlled by another force. So it's just mad weird. And yeah, like the process up in like trying to create, you know, our scene with that in mind, it was like, yeah, it's just kind of tough to put together. And like majority of the time my practice before wasn't really like outgoing speaking. I was more just like keeping to myself and not really saying shit, and just doing my own thing. But yeah, that was one of the challenges that, you know, I forced myself to like break out of, because it's like I'm trapping my own stuff in a box within a box in a box. This doesn't make any sense. So like, you know, I had to like really like go deep within to really let this be heard, and like to inspire other people to like, you know, get off their tail and be like, you know what, I'm gonna do that too, man. Like I'm gonna do my thing. I'm gonna like spread the word. I'm gonna dig into my own history and like change things for the better. But
Well, I gotta say, as someone who's seen you over the last few years, I have never been more extremely proud of someone. To see you be able to do that piece and to tell your story. I remember that first read through when you didn't want anybody to hear you speaking, as you read that script, and we were like, we gotta figure something out. And
I was
for
just
you,
like,
but for you to be brave enough to like dig into that and be willing to perform your story in front of everyone that has been so change making and transformative, thank you for going there.
of course. And like one thing to like add on, like it's crazy because there was a time I was performing with Tappa, and like Garza was inspiring me to get on the stage, and I got on stage and I was like, ooh, and I ran off because I was about to perform and I forgot like everything in that moment, and I was just like, yeah, I don't want to do this, and I like ran off the stage.
So it was a long way.
Yeah. So now I'm not running off the stage no more.
That's
so.
right. That's right. That's right. Excellent. That's what I'm talking about. All right, we are starting to wind down and come to an end, but we want to make sure that you all have a place to ask any questions. So we have Liz here with the microphone, and we would love to hear from any of you all who would like to ask the house anything. I'm seeing you right there. I see you.
Thank
And we
you.
got another question over here after.
Hey, y'all. So, one of the things that I'm always interested in is, so you have this praxis in place as you think about Esek Hopkins. How do you understand taking that praxis and going to Mali, or Cabo Verde, or Mexico, or Laos, or Navajo country, and doing the same kind of work with the vibration that is on the land?
That just one. Oh really? Oh really?
Won't stop, not won't be nothing.
Yes. So the work is already there, love. The work is already there. It didn't start here. The work is all over the world. This is just not at the forefront, you know. And we could take this work, this historical fantasy, as a reference. We don't need it to be our way. We need people to speak up about what they want their way to be. You know, so the work is already there. There just needs to be some
A catalyst of the
exactly.
And we do want to bring it to those spaces to connect with so that we can evolve and learn. Like, we're all blocked off. Like, there are ways that the way our parents were educated or socialized that we don't all necessarily have we didn't grow up with a strong connection to our ancestors or to culture. We were schooled out of that. And so we're really interested in personally reconnecting with those spaces. We definitely want to travel together to each of our homelands and learn from artistic creative practices, learn from dance practices, and we want to do performance exchanges with this work. We want to devise new pieces that still exist in this mermaid world. And like, we want to learn, we want to have adventures, like, so much that we didn't dream we'd ever, like, so much of these past years have been like snatching the dreams we didn't even like allow ourselves to speak out before. So we want to go to those places and we want to like build a mermaid army all over the world. Yes. To sprinkle some glitter. And really for us, it's very strategic of using art as a ritual of deep feeling. Like, one of the lines in our show is, we're not going to think our way out of racism, we're going to feel our way out of racism. And so for us, like, the show is not, and it's funny because like some people have been like, okay, can you come to our institution and do your show and then like fix all our problems? And we're like, that's not our ministry. Our boundaries are performing this work of art. That would be a different fee if you want to hire us as a consultant. But you know, like this show is just a ritual of feeling, so that people can feel what needs to be felt, and then do the work that needs to be done. So we're excited to do that and have some of those adventures and meet other mermaids all over the world.
If I can add to this question that you asked, a lot of us went to Mount Vernon, Illinois last summer to do a part of this work there, and we learned where not to do the work, and we learned where we don't need to be. That's what we learned. And how, to your point, like, we don't need to go to every institution because it's not our job to be at every institution. So realizing that, you know, we don't want to perform our trauma, we're trying to tell stories, we're trying to create interventions, and that not everybody deserves that. And it's just, this work is so labor intensive that people just don't realize. So that was something that we need to learn, and that was helpful, so we know what not to do moving forward. Ooh, right here. I need to breathe on that one.
I don't know if I have a question, but I have the depth of appreciation of a Black woman who grew up here, who lived in Chad, who lived in Wiggins Village, who came home and was struggling to find space, and have been blessed to create collective space with Sister Fire. But what it meant that day for me to step into your space, to hear the deconstructing of colonialism with the deep understanding of who I was. And it was one of the most freest spaces I felt like I've been in. And for me, that was transformative. It was transformative for our members to be connected to y'all and share. And funny, I was on the phone with 2 hours earlier today with April. Not really. We were both gonna end up in the same place, but as you said, there's a point of destination for stuff. And y'all, I love you. The day that I was there, I was just like, when is the CD coming? Because I need to wake up.
Thank you.
I need to wake up to this. I need to go to sleep to this. I need to live through this. So I'm just saying, if we have to crowdsource, because you
Give
can
it to the people, y'all. Give it to the people.
Y'all go to the people.
Coins. We need a few more coins to be put together.
Yo, let us. I'm just saying, but y'all are blessings, right? And what it meant in this state to create that type of space. When you say movement, for me, movement isn't just about the body. It is all of why we we exist to disrupt this place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Do we have anyone else?
To build off that, we like to say that like the world just needs better choreography. Like we're not moving forward together, and so it's a choreographic issue. And so we believe dancers are the answer because this choreography is a mess, and everyone's doing their own thing, and it's like, but so yeah, for us the word movement it has to do with our body, but also has to do with like the collective human body and what choreography is necessary for us to be able to all move forward with care.
And
That's the ministry.
just a gentle reminder too, like when you said we're gonna feel our way through racism, like in the same way where like you can't see it, but like, well, you can see it, but like majority we want to feel through it. So just like how you can't really perceive or see wind, but you can feel it, or like how like you can hear music, but you feel it more than anything else. Kind of around those vibes. So just anytime we mention we're gonna feel our way through it, that's what we mean.
Us being here is the work. Us being here together talking about this is the work. Just the thought of like being out there in the streets, where we at, RISD, sitting out there. Hey, this is RISD. You know, being out there in front of RISD, you know, just 60 to 70 years ago, Black people specifically weren't able to just simply walk in and out of this building and like, you know, freely, safely walk down the street to go to the pier or here or there. And, you know, and to your point was a Black community.
Yeah.
And like to think that like it was blasphemy to see people of color for white people in white neighborhoods to see people of color pass through. It was unheard of, and to them it was like we're reimagining that. We're taking over these spaces, and you know this is exactly what needs to happen. It's just like we need to talk about that.
Yeah. All right. So House, as we get ready to close, what's in the works for 2022 and beyond? What can we do to support you, which we just heard, give you some coins so we can get that album, because I'm trying to wake up to it too. And how can we stay in touch with the Haus of Glitter?
Great questions. So we are going to, after doing the site-specific workshop in September, we're now working on staging the show on a more traditional stage. It'll be a little, building an outdoor venue with 8 stages was a journey, and we will do that journey again when the time calls, but right now we'd love to just build one stage. And also, we're getting invitations to perform in places that we never dreamed of, and so we need to be able to stage it first before we take it to other places. So we're working this fall, winter, we'll be staging the work here in Rhode Island, on one of the biggest stages in Rhode Island. And we are also going to host a party afterwards. We got a lot of feedback. People wanted to dance, and they didn't get to dance after our show. There wasn't enough audience dancing, so we're prepping a fierce lineup of DJs and floor shows and go-go dancing and lots of wonderful things. And we're also hosting a conference to wrap around the weekend to bring a more national audience to Rhode Island to engage with the work, but also to unpack together in community and in dialogue. So we're putting together this really special workshop with our community partner, the School of Embodied Praxis, based out of Chicago. So just be on the lookout. We have some really exciting surprises to announce, but some contracts need to be signed first. So so just stay tuned. If you're not already on our email list and you want to sign up, you can go to houseofglitter.org to stay tuned about this. If you want to get involved in the conference, if you want to get involved in the show, if you want to get involved in the party, just hit us up. As always, we need help to do everything that we're doing, so come through.
Can you speak a hot second, and this might be telling the folks too much, but as people unpack after the next show, can you talk about the infinity spaces and why it's important? Please, RISD, listen to this.
Yeah, so we are most of our public offerings and our retreats have intersectional affinity spaces where there's always a space for femmes and women of color to be in dialogue. There's always a space for LGBTQ people to be in dialogue. There's a blended space for people of color to be in dialogue, and there's a white affinity space for white people to do the work without demanding too much of our Black and brown brothers and sisters and families. So, and for us, those are boundaries that like, they don't separate us, but help actually bring us together in the same way that like we've all been sent to time out to do some thinking and reflection, or sometimes like need to hold space for ourselves to be with a close friend to talk. The affinity spaces are kind of designed to do that, and our conference will have plenty of those opportunities. And there'll be workshops and panels and discussions to engage with creative practice, to dance, to drum, to engage with some historical relics, to think about preservation, to connect about education and youth leadership, to think about community organizing and activism. And we're bringing some exciting people to Rhode Island that, again, we can't say yet, but we're very excited to have a weekend, the weekend of all weekends with y'all.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to speak to our first ever dance series that we're offering. We're teaching the history and foundations of Afro-Latinx dance. And I mean, when I teach a little bit of music theory as well. So we are teaching the choreography from the historical fantasy of Esek Hopkins. At the end of the intensive, we're going to hold an audition to kind of add more dancers to our cast. You can register for virtual or in-person season passes to get access to the class recordings. So if you get a season pass, you can have access to every single class to kind of follow along or get up to date on your own time. And we're looking for 9 more scholarships for youth dancers. So we have scholarship availability for young people to join our dance company if they make it to the audition. We need help with that too. So you can learn more about that at hausofglitter.org. Also, on note of the music stuff, hausofglitter.org, and sign up for our email list if you want to hear about singles. I would love to release a single, at least one, before the show. But the entire album, you'll hear about that through our emails as well.
I will go on record and say that I would love to sponsor a dance student for a scholarship. So I have to do that. Somebody can match me out there, I'm just saying. I'll match you. All right, there we go. We got 2.
Yeah,
we got 3. All right, we need 4. All right, we needed 4. So we got you halfway there. We got 5. All right, that's what I'm talking about. Won't he do it?
Well, if we don't see you, we're gonna move along. But if we don't see you, just email us or visit us on the website.
Mike was acting weird. I have to use the bathroom though. Like I have to go.
Okay, you go, baby. Okay. It's like,
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna run to the restroom.
right before we wrap that up.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Claim space. Why, push aside the urgency. This is care centered practice. This is a whole new urgency that's come up. This is a big deal. We have to ask for hall passes in school for that.
Oh my goodness.
Simply just walk out, go.
Yeah.
Why hold it? Thank you, Trent, for inspiring that thought. You can breathe with us on every Wednesday morning for a virtual restorative yoga and intention setting with the School Embodied Practice. The School Embodied Practice, which is based in Chicago, Illinois, we just opened the application portal for the Breath Fellowship. That's the next slide. I moved on, thank you. An 8-week cohort-based fellowship for strengthening the art and practice of care in our bodies, hearts, minds, households, relationships, professions, and institutions. Applications are open until May 16th. That's very soon. That's like next week. So if anyone wants to apply, get to that. And like how we just mentioned, you can also nominate someone who you think would be a good fit and or sponsor someone in need of financial support, which is like pretty much every BIPOC youth in the world. They need all the support that they can get, like for real. You can go to the website, schoolofembodiedpraxis.com, or you can even go to the hausofglitter.org and find a link, a link tree to this in the front page.
Thank you much.
You're welcome.
Oh, there it is. All right. And so another way that you can be engaged with our work is our Heal Esek Hopkins initiative. We launched this initiative at the start of 2022 after submitting our 100-page proposal to the Providence Special Committee for Commemorative Works. I had to memorize that because that's a lot. But our proposal, right? So our proposal invites a process to reimagine, heal, and transform the 3 memorials that are dedicated to Esek Hopkins, one being the home, and then the other 2 memorials of the middle school, Esek Hopkins Middle School, and the statue. And we need y'all's help. There are a couple ways that you can help here. You could donate to our GoFundMe. This one feels like the most urgent for us because we are behind in our fundraising goals. And you could sign our petition. Liz, do you mind standing up? I just saw you. You could buy one of our campaign shirts and wear it everywhere. As you can see, there's all of this up here as well. But you know, our intention is really that if you wear them, you buy one for yourself, you buy one for someone else, you wear it, you start the conversation. What is Heal Esek Hopkins? Am had spoken to it earlier, but this is not just our initiative. This is not just our campaign. This is everyone's campaign, and this work involves all of us. So we need to all be a part of talking about it and getting other people involved, which goes to our last thing is spread the word, share our posts, let everyone know. If you haven't bought a shirt yet, buy one for someone as a gift, buy one for someone and then give it to us and we'll give it to someone. But spread the word, family, friends, other artists, activists that you know, if y'all have any connections to any networks, whether it be television, whether it be radio, like we're always looking for ways to reach out to folks on a larger scale. So those are just a few ways that y'all can tune in and help us out.
Thank you.
We also have some gifts that we'd like to give before we go. So we'd love to celebrate a few folks, some of whom are here and some of whom are not here. And if you are in the space and we call your name up, let's give a big round of applause and we'll ask you to come join us on stage because RISD printed these gorgeous framed posters of today that we'd like to present to you as a gift. So first up, our mentor, our auntie, our ocean queen, our mermaid queen, our rock. She holds us, she picks us up. April Brown, everyone. Yes, thank you, April. Thank you for everything you've done for us. Oh my goodness. Oh, you're back.
I will go because
Come on up here,
we
queen.
skipped over one.
Thank you, baby.
So up next, we would love to call up my mother, Michelle Coulibaly, who's sitting in the back. Yes, come, Michelle. Come, Michelle. Many people are not aware of this, but the house literally met through Newark's World Traditions at Brown University, which is the company that Michelle runs. It's so weird calling my mom Michelle. I feel like one of those kids who calls their mom by their first name and is like getting in trouble for it. But so the house literally has NBC to thank for literally finding each other. So thank you for that, NBC, Mama.
I also want to call in Assi's dad, Assi Coulibaly, who's been training us alongside Michelle as well.
I asked him to come, and he said he doesn't do things like this. So he's here in spirit. He's here in spirit. He's packing his bags to go to Mali. So he's like, I got more important things to do.
Hello. So the next person we wanted to say is Oliver Sideshow. I don't know how to say his last name. I don't want to butcher it. Arias. I wasn't trying to butcher. I don't know if he's here.
He is not here.
He is not here.
But round of applause for Sideshow.
The real sideshow.
He is with us in spirit, y'all.
If y'all need a cameraman.
Yeah, he's the
Yes.
cameraman. He's an awesome.
Cameraman, need somebody on drone.
Yeah, he was the collaborator and the videographer throughout the whole show. So if you see all the nice looking clips of us, you can thank him for that and the team.
We're also offering. Oh, did I skip something?
No, you can go.
Okay, we're offering a gift to one of the sirens and co-conspirators, Angel Newman.
Yes.
Onto this for her.
We also have one for our leading lady, our voice, the glamour, the drama, the essence, Becky Bass.
Yes, that's Becky Bass. You may have recently seen Becky Bass on, what is the show?
Julia on HBO.
Yes.
Julia. On HBO.
If you haven't seen, yes, Julia on HBO, Becky Bass is there.
The sassy waitress.
Yes, she
Yes.
is.
We'd also like to honor our wild mother of storms, volcanoes, and earthquakes, Shea Rivera Rios.
Hello. And to our sirens and ancestral meal artist, Sata Jala.
I'm just gonna throw this out here. Sata is not here, but I know she would talk about So Plentiful. It is the best vegan, gluten-free soul food out there. It is like so amazing. So if y'all look up So Plentiful, you will find Sata's food. She does catering. She's amazing.
She does meal prep, catering, whatever you need. It's medicine.
It's fire. It's so good. I've literally like cried over her meals.
All right, I'm gonna keep rushing y'all. Everybody tired. Keep going. We tired.
So next, our sister, our muse, radiant beam of black excellence, the Lady J. Jess
I mean,
Brown.
take your time. Sorry, take your time. I didn't realize it was about me.
Let me keep
Sorry,
going.
take your time. Okay.
We love you.
I love y'all.
This last one feels really super special for me. These two individuals were so important to our music making process, and they're my best friends, my brothers. So honoring Moises Rogers and Kevin Rodriguez for all that they did in our music making. I was like, I could keep Moises.
Can we just take a quick group photo with our family who's here, with our frames?
Well, how about we say thank you to everybody, and then like
Love
it'll
that.
have the music, it'll be a whole vibe.
Love that.
So thank you. You're welcome, everybody. Thank you all so much for coming. I'm Professor Jess Brown, aka the Lady J Brown. Thank you so much for your time. I want to go ahead and just plug the Nicholson Files having an open studios this weekend. So if you want to see more images of this work and talk to us about that, we will be there. Oh, sorry, my Britney Spears mic came off. I'm tired. That's this Saturday. And that's all, folks. We love you. Thank you. Thank you for everyone who brought us here. Bring the House of Glitter back to class. If you said that you would donate, please come talk to AM. And if you got a beautiful poster, please come on up. DJ, roll that beat.
Tell your friends about us.
For your cousins, sisters, uncles, aunties, daughters, cats, babies, birds, catfishes, nephews, nieces, neighbors. Make sure you tell them.
She